so editing Darkstar here. I am fully aware that this video has sound issues. It's been sat in my to upload folder since September. I'm sick of the sight of it. I couldn't work out how to get the wind out without making my voice extremely distorted and very, very tinny. So here it is in its warts and all glory. And welcome to a different kind of video. As you can see, I am not in my little book nook at home. I am on a beach. And I am doing this in the very early morning so that there's absolutely nobody around to make me feel like the dickhead that I think I feel like doing this in public. But I wanted to do this in public because I am currently in Greece, and I brought with me a book that is set in Greece and finished it and wanted to talk to you all about it in this setting with the sea behind me, and there are some beds, but I'm really far away from everybody else that's down here, so I don't feel like it's too much of a dick. So the book that I really want to talk to you all about is this one, which is Ithaca by Claire North. Now I don't know whether this will flip it, it will annoy me if it doesn't, because right now when I'm looking on the screen it's backwards. This is the first in a trilogy of the Songs of Penelope. So we've got Ithaca, we've got House of Odysseus, and then we've got The Last Song of Penelope, which only came out a few months ago. So I only bought the one. I should have brought the other two, but I wasn't sure whether I would like it or not, and there was no point using packing space for books that I might not like. So I might bring the other two next time I come here if I can wait that long to read them. But yeah, because I really like this book. So without further ado, let's get into the word. 17 years ago, King Odysseus sailed to war with Troy, taking with him every man of fighting age from the Isle of Ithaca. None of them has returned, and the women of Ithaca have been left behind to run the kingdom. Probably better than the men actually did. Penelope was barely into womanhood when she wed Odysseus. While he lived, her position was secure. But now, years on, speculation is mounting that her husband is dead and suitors are beginning to knock at her door. No one man is strong enough to claim Odysseus' empty throne, not yet. But as everyone waits for the balance of power to tip, Penelope knows that any choice she makes could plunge Ithaca into bloody civil war. It interested me. I keep looking around because I feel like such a fucking knobhead doing this in public. I could never be an influencer. I don't have the guts. But as I said, this is, although it is set on Ithaca and everybody knows the story of Odysseus, sailed off to Troy. The war with Troy lasted about 10 years and he didn't get back for about another 8 or 9 because he decided that the best thing to do when sailing on the sea back to your homeland was to piss off the sea god Poseidon by blinding his son. Honestly. But Odysseus is only mentioned a few times in this book. It's a snapshot of what he's doing, and most of what he's doing is Calypso, because she keeps him on an island of lust. And Poseidon is very happy to keep him there because it pisses everybody off on his island back home, which is where we are. Penelope, who is wed to Odysseus, is one of the 3 main queens of Greece at this time. The other 2 being Helen, who is the one that got abducted, or she went of her own volition away from her husband and went with Paris to Troy, kick-starting the Trojan War, because Menelaus didn't like somebody nicking his wife, so war began. And the other queen being Clytemnestra. Now, she is one of the most interesting mythological characters because she ruled her kingdom while her husband Agamemnon was off at this war, because he was the brother of Menelaus, and she was the sister of Helen, so they're all very, very closely connected. But when Agamemnon gets home, she kills him with her lover, and then her son kills her lover, and then she runs away, and her son has to kill her. It's a whole thing, believe me, it's a whole thing. Now, in this book, that you would think that we get it from Penelope's viewpoint, and we do, most of the time. But for at least half of this book, we are in the viewpoint of the goddess Hera, which I found to be a novel change because you get this bird's eye view over everything that is happening. Everything that is happening in regards to what the kingdoms are connecting with them. you get a bird's eye view of what's going on in the minds of the people within Penelope's palace, not just Penelope herself, but the maids, the suitors, the political, you know, like council. You get different, oh my god, what is it? So you get in the minds of the suitors as well, and there's a lot more political goings on than I first realised with the myth being what it is. I just thought all of these guys rocked up to the island, wanted to be king and wanted to marry Penelope, and she just kept them all at arm's length. But no, it's some of the men of the island, some of the councillors that Penelope is relying on, that are pushing their sons forward to take this position. And Penelope's position is a lot more precarious than I first thought it would be. Because I thought, you know, she ruled and nobody would dare to even approach her with this pish. Now, as I said, we get into the minds of the people, nearly every person that's mentioned in here, because we are at the point of view of a goddess. And Hera I've always found is quite an interesting goddess, because, I mean, you say her name and before it's like Zeus's wife, Hera. So, but she is a powerful goddess in her own right. She is queen of the gods, even though Zeus keeps her power locked down, because of course he does. But she is one of the, I think she was one of the men, I think there was 12 of them, like Zeus's brothers, sisters, because there was like Zeus, Poseidon, Hades, Hera, and I can't remember the rest of them offhand. So I'll probably put them in editing, probably like the list form, because I'm going to have to Google. By far the best interactions isn't between the mortal people, which you would think it would be, because, you know, we're dealing with Penelope. But the best interactions are between the goddesses themselves. So the other two goddesses that get their time in the light in this book are Athena, of course she does, because she's everywhere in every Greek mythological book. Athena pops up at some point. And Artemis, which is the goddess of the hunt. And she is a character, shall we say. She's really funny and quite sort of dry and sarcastic. So, love it. Because between these goddesses and Hera being who she is, they don't really get along. But then again, what kind of gods and goddesses do? It wouldn't be Greek mythology if they all got along. It's the banter between them, the political scheming and the ultimate selfish behaviours of these three goddesses as they interact. And it is just amazing to read. It's just so much fun. And not only are the Greek gods mentioned, but because of one of the characters being Egyptian, one of the Egyptian gods, Horus, is mentioned a few times as well. And you don't know whether he's actually hanging about somewhere. And Hera thinks that she sees a falcon, which Horus, being how he looks, would be able to do that. But then again, Athena could turn into an owl, so she's not quite sure who's playing what game. So what Penelope is doing to keep the suitors at bay is she said that she would choose one after she had finished weaving a funeral shroud for her father-in-law. Now, one of the problems being that her father-in-law isn't dead, is still living on the island, and that is why on this cover she's got the weaving things. But one of the things about her weaving the shroud every night in the like the Great Hall of her palace is that every night she unpicks it. She and her maids unpick it, so it never gets finished, which, you know, if it never gets finished, then she never has to pick one. So I like the thinking. So one of the main things that kicks off a load of events in this is that Electra and Orestes arrive on Ithaca's shores. Now these are two of the children of Clytemnestra and Agamemnon, and at these events Clytemnestra has killed Agamemnon and Orestes has killed her lover. Now, and Clytemnestra has fled and they don't know where she is, but with her being Penelope's cousin and Helen she's been brought back from Troy at this point, but she's under lock and key more or less. So Clytemnestra would go to her. Penelope is the only one that they think that Clytemnestra would go to for help, because there's no men on her island. There's a lot of like hidden coves on this island that you can hide in. So they make the logical assumption that Clytemnestra goes there. And I am not going to say whether she is or isn't, because that would be a little bit of a spoiler. Because Orestes cannot be king in, I can't remember what country it is, but he can't be king until he has killed his mother. Now, there's some sort of power thing or prophecy with this, because you can't just go around committing matricide, really. It's not the done thing to do. So he's not having a great time. He's not having a great time at all. In fact, nobody in this is having really a great time at all. Now, one of the big catalysts that happens in this is Ithaca starts getting raided by pirates. But these pirates are not as they would seem to be. There's something going on and they can't quite work out what it is, but it's very suspicious as to who these pirates are, why they're raiding, where they're raiding, because they're only raiding select parts of Ithaca's shore and only on a full moon, which is alright because there was no lights or anything. And the consensus in the palace, at least by Penelope and her closest maid set, is that they are being helped by someone on the island and they don't know who it is or why they're doing it. But they have to find out by trying their womanly wiles, and the way that they go about it is extremely interesting. I think I read this over 2 days, because I would have read it probably in a day if I could get my lazy ass up from the sunbed enough to carry on reading, but it's so hot and it's so bad that I want to sit in the sun. But yeah, this book was 5 stars for me because I couldn't put it down once I'd started, and the writing is so good. It's funny. In parts it is so funny the way that things are written, and because we're in Hera's point of view, it's so interesting the way that she interacts with the world, because she is queen of the gods essentially, but she doesn't have that power. So the way that she talks about her stepchildren, being Athena, Artemis and a slew of other ones, is comical because she doesn't like them. She sees them as bratty children that whenever they find that she's doing something, they run to their father, who essentially puts the kibosh on it and really screws everything up. But I would really, really recommend, if you like Greek mythology, I finally found one that I really, really love. Because if you've seen any of my other videos, being Lies We Sing to the Sea, Athena's Child and A Spartan Sorrow, you'll know that I haven't found one that's really hit that bar for me. This one hit the bar for me. I really, really loved it. I can't get enough. I really wish I'd brought the other two with me, because by now, I've read this like last week, but by now I would have read the other two and would have done a slew of videos here on Greece's shores about the Greek mythology that I am giving 5 stars to, because I just love it. It's amazing. I can't get enough of it. Finally, I found one that I really, really love. But yeah, I love it. So I would highly recommend it. So let me know what you think down below. Do you find Penelope's story interesting? Do you find that whole mythology about Odysseus not coming home? Because it is part of Homer's Odyssey. Now, I think in that, Penelope only gets mentioned a few times, but the stuff that she has to go through, the stuff that she has to hold together while her husband's off gallivanting with some nymph on an island, which she doesn't know about, by the way,
I can't remember whether she finds out when he gets home or not. But he's off gallivanting with a nymph on an island, and she's having to hold this kingdom together. The balance that she has to keep in this political landscape, and being alone and being a woman, I like the fact that she's able to use but I'm just a poor woman and how can I make all these decisions? You are men and of course you know better than me, but in my mind, wouldn't it be easier if you did this, this and this? But how could I know, because I am just a poor female? And she uses it to her advantage, which is fantastic. So yeah, let me know your thoughts down below.